Have you ever found yourself longing for peace in the middle of chaos? You're not alone. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, finding true inner calm can feel almost impossible. We chase success, cling to relationships, and try to control everything, only to feel more restless and disconnected. But what if the answer isn't in holding on tighter, but in letting go? In Buddhism, there's a powerful concept called detachment. Now, don't mistake that for indifference. It's not about caring less. It's about caring wisely. Detachment means learning to experience life fully without trying to own or control it. It's about loving deeply, living mindfully, and yet allowing everything to come and go, just like clouds in the sky. In this episode, we'll explore this beautiful philosophy through ancient Buddhist parables, real-life stories, and practical reflections. We'll journey into what it truly means to let go, not out of weakness, but out of strength and clarity. So if you've ever felt weighed down by expectations, fear of loss, or the pressure to always have things figured out, stay with me. This might just be the perspective shift you've been needing. Let's begin. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young monk who cherished a delicate porcelain cup, an old gift from his master. It wasn't just a cup to him. It was a symbol of connection, memory, maybe even identity. He kept it close, admired it daily, and took great care to protect it. But one day, while tending to his chores, the cup slipped from his hands and shattered into countless pieces. The monk was devastated. He felt a strange emptiness in his chest, as if something sacred had been lost forever. Seeing his pain, the master approached gently and said, "That cup was already broken from the beginning." At first, the words sounded cold, almost dismissive. But in time, the monk began to understand. The master wasn't belittling the pain, he was reminding him of a deeper truth. Nothing in this world is permanent. Everything we hold, objects, relationships, even our own identities, are fragile, ever-changing. And it's our clinging, our attachment, that turns this natural impermanence into suffering. Think about it. How often do we attach ourselves to things, people, or outcomes? We say we love someone, but in truth, we're often afraid of losing them. We build our lives around routines and expectations, and when those change, because they inevitably will, we panic. We feel betrayed, lost. Buddhism teaches us that attachment is the root of suffering. That might sound extreme, but it's surprisingly practical when we look closely. The problem isn't love. The problem is grasping. We hold on so tightly, trying to control what's outside of us, instead of learning to flow with what is. Picture a river. It doesn't cling to the water that passes through. It simply allows the current to move, to change, to evolve. And yet, the river continues. That's the essence of detachment, not shutting down emotionally, but embracing life with an open hand. So what does it really mean to let go? And how can we apply this without becoming numb or disconnected? Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we care without needing to possess. It means we can love fully, but not fearfully. We can enjoy moments without obsessing over their ending. And when those moments do pass, as they always will, we can grieve with grace, not resistance. Here's a real-world example. Maybe you've been in a relationship where you gave your all, but it ended. Or maybe you were let go from a job that once felt like your whole identity. In those moments, it's easy to think, "I've lost something I can't live without." But time often shows us that letting go made room for something greater, something more aligned with who we are becoming. Still, detachment doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice. It begins by simply observing when we're clinging, whether it's to a person, an outcome, or even a belief about ourselves. Ask yourself, am I holding on out of love or out of fear? This question can reveal so much. It's also helpful to remember this. Detachment is not rejection. You're not pushing things away. You're simply choosing not to be imprisoned by them. You're allowing life to unfold as it naturally will, without insisting that it matches your script. And here's the paradox. When we let go, we actually become more present. We begin to see people more clearly, love more freely, and experience life more deeply. We're no longer distracted by anxiety over what if or what next. We return to the only moment that's real. This one. There's a quiet kind of freedom in that. A freedom that doesn't come from escaping life, but from learning to be with life, just as it is. A freedom that allows us to say, yes, this may leave me, yes, this may change, but I will be okay. In fact, I invite you right now to reflect. What in your life are you holding on to too tightly? Is there something you fear losing so much, you've forgotten how to enjoy it? What would it feel like to open your hands, just a little, and let it breathe? This isn't easy, but it is liberating. And this is where the spiritual path begins, not in grand gestures or distant philosophies, but in small, honest shifts within us. Like recognizing that a broken cup was always destined to break, and yet, in its presence, it still brought joy. So yes, cherish what you love, be present with it, honor it, but also understand its beauty lies in its impermanence. When you accept that, you stop clinging, and when you stop clinging, you start living. In the next segment, we'll explore the next step on this path, radical acceptance. Because once we learn to let go, we must also learn to embrace what life brings us, even when it's not what we expected. But for now, just breathe. Let go. Let flow. Have you ever found yourself saying, "This isn't how life was supposed to be"? Maybe it was a job that didn't work out, a relationship that broke apart, or a path you thought was right, until it wasn't. One day, a young disciple came to his master in deep frustration. He said, "Master, I suffer because life is not what I want it to be." The master, with calm eyes and a gentle smile, replied, "You suffer because you resist what is." At first glance, that might sound like surrender, but radical acceptance in Buddhism is not about giving up. It's about waking up. It's about seeing things as they are, not as we wish they were. It's about releasing the inner struggle against reality and learning to live with clarity and grace. Let's think about it this way. Imagine you're standing on the shore and you see a massive wave rolling in. You can try to stop it, curse it, or run from it, but none of those actions change the wave. In fact, resistance will only exhaust you. Or you can dive into it. You can let it carry you. Not because you enjoy being tossed around, but because you understand the wave is coming either way. This is the heart of radical acceptance. Life is full of waves, moments we didn't ask for, outcomes we can't control. And yet so much of our suffering doesn't come from what happens, but from how we fight what happens. We get stuck in mental stories. It shouldn't be like this. I deserve better. If only I had done something differently. These thoughts build walls between us and the present moment. But what if instead of resisting reality, we could learn to be with it? Acceptance doesn't mean you agree with everything. It doesn't mean you stop growing or stop caring. It means you stop arguing with what already is. And that shift, subtle as it sounds, can change everything. There's an old teaching about an archer. A true master can calculate the path of an arrow, align his stance, and release with skill. But there are things even the best archer can't control, like the wind, the movement of the target, or the air's moisture. He can complain, blame the weather, and miss. Or he can adjust, refocus, and shoot again. A life is the same. We make plans, take action, aim with purpose. But the outcome? That's rarely in our hands. If we cling to how we think things should go, we suffer. But if we accept what is, we gain clarity. And from that clarity, we act more wisely. Here's a practice that's helped many. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this teaching me?" This one question transforms victimhood into growth. It turns pain into perspective. Suddenly, life is no longer something happening to you. It's something unfolding for you. So I'll share something personal. There was a time in my life when I lost something I cared deeply about, a project I had poured my heart into. For months, I fought the outcome. I questioned everything. But it wasn't until I accepted the loss, stopped resisting it, and asked, "What can this teach me?" that I began to find peace. And in that peace, new paths opened up, ones I never would have seen while stuck in the fight. Radical acceptance isn't a passive thing. It's active. It requires courage. Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't letting go. It's looking reality in the eye and saying, "This is what's here now. What can I do with it?" And it's not just about accepting the world. It's about accepting ourselves, too. Our mistakes, our imperfections, the choices we regret, the emotions we hide. So many of us carry shame or disappointment, not just over what life has brought us, but over who we think we're supposed to be. But here's the truth. Transformation doesn't begin with punishment. It begins with acceptance. You can't grow a tree by beating it into shape. You grow it by giving it light, water, and space. The same goes for us. That's why in Buddhist practice, acceptance and compassion go hand in hand. When we stop resisting what we feel, what we've done, what we are, we create the space for true healing. Now let's be clear. Acceptance doesn't mean we stop dreaming, hoping, or taking action. It just means we stop demanding that life follow our script. We release the need to control everything, and in doing so, we gain the power to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. So today, I invite you to pause, breathe. Look at what's present in your life right now, not the version in your mind, but the one right in front of you. Ask yourself, what am I resisting? What would it feel like to stop fighting this? What can I learn from this moment, just as it is? The answers might not come instantly, but the willingness to ask, that's the first step toward peace. And maybe, just maybe, the waves you feared most weren't here to drown you, but to teach you how to float. In the next segment, we'll explore how trusting life's timing, even when we don't understand it, can transform our relationship with the unknown. But for now, I invite you to rest in this truth. What is, already is. And from here you can begin again. Begin. Have you ever looked back on something that once felt like a setback and realized it was actually a turning point? There's a quiet truth that Buddhist wisdom reminds us of again and again. What is meant for you will come. What is not meant for you will leave. And maybe the hardest part is learning to trust that. Let me share a story with you. In a quiet village, an old monk found a beautiful wild horse in his garden. The villagers were amazed and said, "What good fortune you have! A horse like this is a treasure." The monk simply replied, "Fortune or misfortune, who knows?" Later, the monk's son tried to tame the horse but fell and broke his leg. The villagers gasped, "How terrible! Now your son can't walk." The monk responded again, "Fortune or misfortune, who knows?" Weeks later, a war broke out, and all the young men in the village were drafted, except for the monk's son, who was spared because of his injury. Once again, the villagers came and said, "How lucky you are." But the monk just smiled and said, "Fortune or misfortune, who knows?" This simple story carries a profound message. In the moment, we often judge things as good or bad, lucky or unlucky. But the truth is, we don't really know. Life unfolds in ways we can't fully understand in the present. What feels like loss today may become the very thing that leads you to peace tomorrow. Maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you lost a job, only to find a new path that brought you more purpose. Maybe a relationship ended, and though it was painful, it opened space for deeper love or for reconnection with yourself. But when we're caught in the storm, when things fall apart, it's hard to see clearly. We panic. We try to fix it, force it, or figure out why it's happening. But Buddhist wisdom invites us to approach life with patience and an open heart. Another story. A man once found a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. Feeling compassionate, he gently opened it to help. But because the butterfly didn't struggle on its own, its wings remained weak. It never gained the strength to fly. The effort, the struggle, it was part of the process. How many times in our own lives do we try to rush the unfolding? We want answers now, results now, healing now. But some things need time. Like a seed in the soil, there is a sacred rhythm to growth. You don't pull the plant out to make it grow faster. You water it. You wait. You trust. Trust doesn't mean being passive. It means doing your part, then letting go of control over the outcome. It's about showing up fully, but without anxiety. Like a farmer who plants the crop and tends to it, but knows he cannot force the harvest. So many of us live like that man hanging from a tree branch over a cliff, terrified to let go. But what he didn't know was that just beneath him, there was solid ground. We hold on to jobs that no longer fulfill us. We cling to relationships that drain us. We grasp at expectations that only create frustration. And we stay stuck, not because we're trapped, but because we're afraid to fall. But what if letting go was what actually saved us? The truth is, life is constantly changing. Like a river, it flows, with or without our permission. Trying to control it is like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you grip, the more it slips away. Buddhism teaches, peace isn't found in control, it's found in flow. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that you will be okay no matter what happens. That even when the path is unclear, you are being led somewhere meaningful. This is where trust begins, not in knowing the outcome, but in surrendering to the journey. And it helps to remember, not everything is meant to stay. Some people, opportunities, or dreams come into our lives just for a season. Their cycle ends. And when they do, it's not punishment. It's preparation for something else, something better suited to the person you're becoming. Instead of saying, this shouldn't be happening, try asking, what is life trying to teach me here? Sometimes the universe doesn't take things from you. It clears space for you. It removes what you no longer need, even when you're not ready to let it go. It takes courage to trust that. But that trust becomes the soil for something beautiful to grow. You see, when we trust life, we begin to live with less fear. We stop trying to rush or control everything. We start to respond with curiosity. What's unfolding here? What opportunity is hidden in this? And little by little, we find peace. Not because everything's perfect, but because we've stopped fighting what is. One of the most powerful tools to build this trust is meditation. When we sit quietly and breathe, we start to see that everything, every thought, every emotion, every phase comes and goes. Nothing stays forever, and that's okay. Meditation reminds us that just like clouds in the sky, life moves. And if we stop clinging, we begin to float. So, if you're in a season of uncertainty, know this: you are not lost. You are becoming. You are being guided, even if you can't see it yet. In the next episode, we'll explore the role of meditation in deepening this trust and how we can find stillness even in chaos. But for now, take a breath. Let go of the need to know. And trust. What is meant for you will come, exactly when you're ready to receive it. So far, we've explored how letting go and trusting life can transform our inner world. But how do we actually begin to live that trust? How do we move from fear to calm, from mental noise to clarity? The answer is ancient, simple, and profoundly powerful. Meditation. Now let's be honest. When most people hear the word meditation, they either imagine a monk sitting in perfect stillness on a mountain, or they say, "I can't do that. My mind never stops." And that's exactly the point. You don't meditate because your mind is quiet. You meditate to make friends with your mind, even when it's not. Let me tell you a story. A young disciple came to his master, frustrated and restless. "Master," he said, "I try to find peace, but the more I try, the more chaotic my mind becomes. I feel like I'm failing." The master handed him a glass filled with water and dirt, stirred it, and said, "Now watch." Slowly, the dirt began to settle at the bottom. The water became clear. "This," the master said, "is your mind. When you stop stirring, clarity arises on its own." Meditation is not about stopping thoughts. It's about stopping the stirring, the constant reaction, judgment, chasing, and resisting. In today's world, our minds are flooded with stimulation, notifications, news, social media, pressure, planning, comparing. No wonder we feel scattered, stressed, and disconnected from ourselves. But when you sit in silence, even just for a few minutes, you start to see what's really going on inside. And more importantly, you begin to see that you are not your thoughts. The thoughts come and go. Emotions rise and fade. Sensations shift. Everything moves. Everything changes. And that's the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Impermanence. When you observe this in meditation, when you feel an anxious thought arise and then dissolve, you begin to understand. Nothing stays forever. Not fear, not sadness, not even pain. And in that awareness, a quiet freedom is born. Meditation brings you home to the present moment, the only place where peace is truly possible. You don't need a fancy cushion, incense, or hours of free time. You just need a few minutes and a willingness to pause. Here's a simple practice to begin. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to your breath. Just notice the air entering and leaving your nostrils. Don't try to control it. Just observe. If your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back to your breath. No judgment, no pressure, just kindness. That's it. 5 minutes a day is enough to start rewiring your mind. Over time, you'll notice yourself reacting less and responding more. You'll catch negative patterns before they take over. You'll breathe more deeply, speak more thoughtfully, live more fully. But beyond calming the mind, meditation also strengthens trust in life. Because when you sit quietly with yourself, you realize something profound. There is a stillness within you that cannot be shaken, a part of you that is untouched by the chaos around you. And from that stillness, you can meet life with clarity, courage, and compassion. There are many styles of meditation in Buddhism, but here are a few that are especially transformative. 1. Breath meditation. The most foundational practice. Focus on the breath to anchor yourself in the present. It trains attention, calms anxiety, and builds mindfulness. Chapter 2. Loving kindness meditation, metta bhavana. Begin by silently repeating phrases like, "May I be well," "May I be peaceful," "May I be free from suffering." Then gradually extend those wishes to others, friends, strangers, even people you struggle with. This practice expands the heart and dissolves barriers of judgment and resentment. Gratitude meditation. Take a few minutes each day to reflect on what you're thankful for, no matter how small. A warm meal, a quiet morning, a kind word. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. Letting go meditation. Visualize holding something heavy in your hands. A worry, a regret, a fear. As you exhale, imagine releasing it, little by little. This gentle visualization helps release emotional burdens and make space for healing. Meditation is not about perfection. You will forget, you will fidget, you will get distracted. And that's okay. The power lies not in getting it right, but in coming back, again and again. You return to the breath, you return to the moment, and each time you return, you reclaim a piece of yourself. In time, meditation becomes more than a practice. It becomes a way of being. You begin to live with more awareness. You notice your habits, your patterns, your automatic reactions, and with that awareness, you gain choice. You can choose to respond instead of react, to pause before speaking, to forgive instead of holding on, to breathe instead of spiraling. Most importantly, meditation reminds you, you are not broken, you are not behind, you are human, and every breath is an invitation to begin again. So if life feels noisy right now, if you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or lost, don't try to fix everything at once. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be. You might be surprised how much changes when you change the way you meet the moment. In the next segment, we'll explore how to let go of control and live with more ease by flowing with the universe rather than resisting it. But for now, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. Welcome home. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, things just won't go the way you planned? You check every box, you make the perfect schedule, you give your all, and still, life surprises you. Sometimes in beautiful ways, other times in ways that shake you to your core. The truth is, we don't control as much as we think we do. There's a story from the Buddhist tradition. One day, a disciple was standing by a river with his master. They both watched the water move around rocks, down curves, over obstacles. The master said, "Look how it flows without resistance. It adapts to every rock, every twist, every turn. It doesn't try to change the path. It just follows it." Then he turned to the disciple and asked, "Why do we struggle so much when life doesn't go our way?" It's a question we all face. Why do we hold on so tightly? Why do we fear uncertainty so deeply? Maybe because somewhere along the way, we learned that control equals safety. That if we plan well enough, work hard enough, and stay vigilant enough, we can avoid pain. But life isn't a formula. It's not a math equation that always adds up. It's more like a river, constantly moving, changing, unfolding. And when we try to fight the current, we suffer. We try to control relationships. We want people to stay, behave, or love us a certain way. We try to control the future, obsessing over what will happen, what could go wrong. We even try to control ourselves, pushing, fixing, micromanaging every flaw. But control is an illusion, and clinging to that illusion only creates more fear, not less. There's a powerful story about a man hanging from the branch of a tree at the edge of a cliff. He's terrified. He grips with all his strength, afraid that if he lets go, he'll fall to his death. What he doesn't know is that just a few feet below him is solid ground. If he had simply released his grip, he would have landed safely, but his fear kept him trapped. How many of us are living like that man, clinging to a job that drains us, staying in a relationship that no longer nurtures us, holding on to an identity, a plan, or a version of the future that no longer fits who we're becoming? We don't let go, not because we can't, but because we're afraid of the unknown. But here's what Buddhism teaches us. Letting go is not falling. Letting go is landing. It's coming home to what's real. It's choosing trust over fear. It's opening ourselves to a life that's bigger, wiser, and more beautiful than the one we're trying to force. So how do we begin? 1. Accept that uncertainty is part of life. There are no guarantees. There never were. The problem isn't uncertainty, it's our resistance to it. Instead of asking, "How can I avoid the unknown?" try asking, "How can I meet it with curiosity?" See your challenges as gateways. Often, what we think is a problem is actually a portal. A loss becomes a new beginning. A rejection makes space for clarity. Ask yourself, what if this obstacle is actually a bridge? Detach from outcomes. Do your best, but don't tie your worth to the result. Paint because you love painting, not just to sell the art. Love because it's who you are, not because you need something in return. Live for the process, not the prize. Meditate to see clearly. When we sit with ourselves in silence, we begin to notice our patterns, our need for control, our fear of change. We start to see the branch we've been clinging to. And sometimes, seeing it is the first step in releasing it. 5. Let go of the inner critic. Letting go isn't just about outer situations. It's also about how we speak to ourselves. Stop trying to fix yourself. Speak to yourself like you would to a dear friend. You are already enough. And then remember this. You are not meant to carry everything. You are not meant to figure it all out. You are meant to live, to experience, to move with the current. Think of a dancer. The most graceful movement doesn't come from stiffness. It comes from surrender. It comes from listening to the rhythm and letting the body respond. You can be that dancer. You can learn to move with life instead of against it. Because when we let go of control, something magical happens. We begin to feel lighter. We begin to breathe easier. We become more compassionate, not just toward others, but toward ourselves. And that compassion softens everything. You don't need to know every step ahead. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to trust the next breath, the next moment, the next gentle opening. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply enough to allow things to unfold in their own time. It means you trust that life has its own intelligence, that you're being carried, even when you don't realize it. And so today, ask yourself, what am I trying to control that I need to release? What fear is holding me back from surrendering to the flow? And what freedom might I find on the other side of letting go? In our next episode, we'll explore how compassion, especially for ourselves, is the key to healing and lasting peace. But for now, relax your shoulders, loosen your grip, and remember, letting go is not giving up. It's giving in to something greater. If you found this message helpful, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to Buddha's Quiet Path. Every voice, every story, every moment of peace shared ripples out further than you know. Let's walk this journey together. What if the greatest healing we ever experience doesn't come from fixing anything, but from softening into compassion? One day, a monk was walking along a forest path when he came across a man sitting on the ground, beating his chest, weeping. "Master," the man cried, "I've made so many mistakes. I've hurt the people I love. I can't forgive myself." The monk sat beside him and said gently, "If a bird breaks its own wing because it flew the wrong way, how will it ever fly again?" This is the danger of guilt. It becomes the stone we carry that keeps us from moving forward. Compassion, on the other hand, is the wind that helps us rise. In Buddhism, compassion, karuna, is one of the most important practices. But it's not just about kindness to others. It's also about learning to be kind to ourselves. And let's be honest, that's often the hardest part. We speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we love. We punish ourselves for past choices, criticize every flaw, and hold on to shame like it's a form of penance. But ask yourself, has that harshness ever truly helped you heal? The truth is, self-compassion isn't weakness. It's not an excuse. It's the very foundation of transformation. A tree doesn't grow stronger by being hacked at. It grows by being nourished, with light, with water, with care. So too do we. One of the most powerful practices in Buddhism is metta bhavana, or loving-kindness meditation. You begin with yourself, repeating phrases like, "May I be well," "May I be happy," "May I live in peace." Then you extend those same wishes to others, friends, strangers, even those who have hurt you. At first, it might feel strange. Some people find it hard to even wish themselves well. But that's exactly why it's so powerful. Because often, what we need most is what we've been denying ourselves the longest. And yes, compassion extends to those who've hurt us too. But it doesn't mean condoning their actions. It simply means choosing to free ourselves from the poison of resentment. There's a Buddhist parable about a man carrying a heavy sack of stones. He's exhausted but refuses to let go. When asked why, he says, "These are my grudges." The monk replies, "Then why are you punishing yourself for what others have done?" Holding on to anger only burns the one holding it. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing peace over pain. It means understanding that forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. When we practice compassion, real, grounded, heart-centered compassion, we begin to live differently. We become softer, but stronger. More understanding, yet clearer in our boundaries. More peaceful and more present. So today, ask yourself, what am I still punishing myself for? What parts of me are longing to be forgiven? What would happen if I gave myself the kindness I so easily give to others? Compassion is not a destination. It's a daily practice. A quiet revolution that begins inside and ripples outward. In the next episode, we'll explore how to bring these Buddhist principles into everyday life, to walk the talk, moment by moment. But for now, breathe in, breathe out, and whisper to yourself, "May I be well, may I be free." We've explored some of the most profound truths Buddhism offers: letting go, trusting life, practicing meditation, and embracing compassion. But wisdom isn't meant to stay in books, temples, or meditation cushions. It's meant to be lived. And the question now is, how do we bring these teachings into our daily lives? How do we make them more than inspiring ideas and turn them into everyday actions? It starts with this simple truth. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. You don't become peaceful overnight. You don't wake up enlightened after watching one video or reading one quote. It happens through practice, through showing up, through remembering, forgetting, and returning, again and again. So here are 6 ways to integrate Buddhist wisdom into the rhythm of your everyday life. 1. Practice detachment gently. Ask yourself throughout the day, am I holding on out of love or out of fear? When something good comes, enjoy it, but don't cling. When something leaves, grieve if you need to, but let it go with grace. 2. Radical acceptance in small moments. Life won't always meet your expectations, but it always offers you a chance to grow. When you're stuck in traffic, face a difficult coworker, or feel overwhelmed, pause. Ask, can I accept this moment just as it is? This doesn't mean resignation. It means you stop fighting what already exists so you can respond with clarity. 3. Trust life's timing. When things don't go as planned, remind yourself, what is meant for me will come. There's wisdom in what feels like delay. Let go of rushing. Let go of comparison. Trust your path, even when it's not clear. 4. Short daily meditation. You don't need an hour. Even 5 minutes of conscious breathing can shift your energy. Try sitting in silence before your morning coffee, or while waiting in line. Let your breath be your anchor. Let presence become your habit. 5. Let go of control with awareness. When things don't unfold your way, ask, am I trying to force this? Surrender is not weakness. It's trusting that life is unfolding for you, not against you. 6. Choose compassion, especially for yourself. Be mindful of how you speak to yourself. Would you say those same words to a friend? Each time you catch your inner critic, soften it. Whisper, "I'm learning, I'm growing, and that's enough." You see, Buddhism isn't about perfection. It's not about living without anger, sadness, or fear. It's about meeting those emotions with awareness, with patience, with kindness. There will be days when you forget, when you react instead of reflect, when you fall back into old patterns, and that's okay. The path is not linear. It's circular. It spirals. And every breath is a chance to begin again. So live these teachings, not in some distant future, but here, in the middle of your workday, in traffic, in silence, in love, in grief. Let each small moment be your practice ground. Because the truth is, you don't need to escape your life to find peace. You just need to wake up to it. And if this journey has spoken to your heart, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to Buddha's Quiet Path. Let's continue walking together, one mindful step, one gentle breath at a time. At last, we'll reflect on how everything we've learned connects back to one powerful truth. What is meant for you will come when you're ready to receive it. But for now, keep walking, keep breathing, keep practicing. Your path is unfolding step by step. If you've made it to this moment, I want to thank you for listening, for breathing, and most of all, for being willing to explore something deeper. We've learned that letting go is not weakness, but freedom. That acceptance is not giving up, but seeing clearly. That trusting life is about surrendering to a rhythm we may not understand, but can still feel. That meditation is not escape, but the practice of presence. That compassion is the true path to healing, especially when it starts within. And perhaps most importantly, we've learned that these teachings are not just for monks or mystics. They're for all of us, for the parents, the students, the workers, the wanderers, the dreamers. They're for anyone who has ever asked, how can I live with more peace, more clarity, more love? So what now? Now, you live the teachings. Not perfectly, not all at once, but gently, slowly. One breath, one step, one choice at a time. You bring mindfulness into the ordinary. You pause before reacting. You soften your inner dialogue. You trust what's unfolding, even when it's hard. And when you forget, which you will, you return. Because the practice is not about getting it right. It's about remembering what's always been true. That you are already whole. That you are already worthy. That peace is not somewhere out there. It's within you, right here. There's a beautiful Buddhist reminder that goes like this. In the end, only 3 things matter: how well you lived, how deeply you loved, and how gracefully you let go of what was not meant for you. So if you take anything from this series, let it be this. Let go of what weighs you down. Trust what's meant for you will find you. Be kind to others, and especially to yourself. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to move fast or be perfect or feel peaceful all the time. You just need to be willing to keep returning, to keep choosing awareness, to keep listening to the quiet voice inside that whispers, everything happens in its own time. And maybe, just maybe, your only job is to be ready to receive it when it comes. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If these teachings touched you, feel free to share this series with someone who might need it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Buddha's Quiet Path, so we can keep walking this path together. Until next time, may you be well, may you be at peace, and may you always remember, what is meant for you will come.